Thank you for watching the news here on Times TV with me, Jawes Banda. First, the headlines. Court rules that former MEC Commissioner Linda Kunje has a case to answer on criminal recklessness and negligence. Court grants the state an order of inquest into the death of former Police Criminal Investigations Director Bob Mtekama and Director of Public Prosecutions accused of delays in prosecuting cases connected to the killing of those suspected of practicing witchcraft. We have these plus many other stories. Please do stick with us. Now, the news in detail. The Chief Resident Magistrates Court in Zomba on Monday ruled that former Malawi Electoral Commission MEC Commissioner Linda Kunje and her driver Jones Tewesa have a case to answer on criminal recklessness and negligence. The two are believed to have obstructed President Lazarus Chakwera's convoy in December last year when the president was on his way from Blantyre to Zomba to preside over a graduation at the University of Malawi. TSM Monjeza has this report read by Elita Soko.
According to corresponding evidence from 7 witnesses who testified in the case, the two did not pave way for the convoy despite being ordered to do so on 3 separate occasions by traffic police officers who were manning the M5 road. Reading his ruling, Chief Resident Magistrate Austin Banda observed that the evidence brought by the state witness shows that the state presented substantial evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the two committed a crime. In an interview, Kunje's lawyer Christopher Masanje said they were ready to enter defense on the case.
Part is what we have already gone through. That is the test case. This time around, we simply just have to make answers to the allegations that the state has made. So yeah, we've been ready, and as I said, the most critical part is what we've been through. This other part is not that difficult because our client will simply have to state what actually happened without exaggerations, as might have been the case sometime back in court.
In an earlier court hearing, Tewesa, who is being represented by Timothy Chirwa, told the court that he defied traffic orders after being instructed by Kunje, who was his boss at the time. The incident led to police launching a manhunt for Kunje before she handed herself over to the law enforcers.
Police investigator Yotam Banda has testified that businessman Zamir Karim forged documents to get a loan from EcoBank. During the hearing of the case, also involving the bank's head of domestic banking, Victoria Chanza, Banda has told the Lilongwe Chief Resident Magistrate Court that the documents did not originate from the Malawi Police Service. Karim and Chanza are answering charges of fraud, forgery, and uttering a false document. Taonga Sabola has the details.
When the court resumed sitting on Monday morning, police investigator Yotam Banda told the court that the letter that Zamir Karim used to get a 150 million kwacha loan from EcoBank did not originate from the Malawi Police Service. But in cross-examination, lawyer for Karim, Alex Nampota, faulted Banda, saying his investigations ignored very important things such as messages of conversations through email as well as WhatsApp between Karim, former Malawi Police Service Director of Finance, the late Innocent Bodomani, as well as former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Duncan Mwapasa. Nampota said that Banda taken his time, he would have arrived at a conclusion that the letter originated from Malawi Police Service. Nampota explains what transpired in the court on Monday.
You see, today we are cross-examining the investigations officer from Malawi Police. And essentially we are demonstrating to the court that though they are saying our client, Zamir Karim, forged a document, the document itself they are alleging it was forged came from Malawi Police itself. We've produced documents to them that show that the letter originated from Malawi Police. And it was a genuine document, so there's no aspects of fraud. If there were any fraud at all, then probably they need to look at inside the police itself. Our client doesn't work in the police. He's given a letter and his story is signed by Malawi police. How do they know that it wasn't properly done?
Chief Resident Magistrate Patrick Chirwa has since adjourned the case to Wednesday afternoon when the state will re-examine Banda. Zamir Karim and Victoria Janza were arrested on 12 November last year on allegations that they connived to defraud EcoBank of 150 million kwacha in August 2015.
Still on court cases, Judge Annabel Mtalemanja has granted the state an order of inquest into the death of former director of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Malawi Police Service, Bob Mtekama. Mtekama, who died in November 2020, was at the center of investigations into several high-profile cases, including the 2014 death of Anti-Corruption Bureau Director of Corporate Affairs, Isan Jauju. Matthews Kasanda with more.
Well, the way forward is like in another inquest, the court will have to appoint what we call a coroner, who have to take through the process of an inquest into the death of the former director of SARA. The matter will go to, as per order, the matter will go to the magistrate court, and a call will be made for witnesses to come and testify before court on what happened really to the death, and then the Honorable Court makes its decision on that. When a call is made, it depends on how many witnesses know, or anyone who knows anything to do with touching on the death of the person who is subject.
That was Director of Public Prosecutions, Stephen Kayuni, commenting on the matter. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, has been accused of delaying the prosecution of people arrested in connection with the killing of those suspected of practicing witchcraft in the country. According to a report by the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, CHRR, at least 60 people have been killed after being accused of witchcraft from 2019 to date. We have details from Wezi Gausi.
The recent case being the one that happened in Kalonga last week. The report further notes that the DPP was delaying the case of Philines Mulenga from Maulambia in Chitipa. On January 11, 2020, she was beaten to death on suspicion that she had killed her daughter through witchcraft. Investigations were carried out by police, which resulted in the arrest of two suspects, Mason Mtambo and Sanod Kanyika. The suspects were remanded at Chitipa prison. According to the police, the files were submitted to the office of the DPP for directives. Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation Executive Director Michael Kayatsa says even though there have been arrests on witchcraft killings, but no one has been prosecuted for these crimes.
In our letter, we are expressing concern with the lack of justice on cases of witchcraft. We, as an organization, we are implementing a project in 20 TAs across the country in 10 districts, and we have documented several cases about witchcraft accusations-based killings, and none of these cases has been brought to trial. Executive Director for Center for the Development of People, CEDEP, Gift Trappens, says they want the Inspector General of Police and DPP to update Malawians on what they were doing to ensure that justice is exercised in the witchcraft cases.
And actually, as CEDEP and also Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, we are writing the office of the DPP to make sure that cases are taken to court. Director of Public Prosecution DPP Stephen Kayuni says he needed time to check with his colleagues on the progress of the cases.
The Malawi Police Service has assured people with albinism that the law enforcement agency is working hard to ensure tight security for them in the country. This was said at Nkarabe Police Station when the Police Inspector General George Kainja appreciated efforts in dealing with gender-based violence through the United Nations-led Spotlight Initiative. Josephine Chipofia has compiled this report, read by Feston Malekezo.
Kainja was speaking at a time when a 20-year-old person with albinism, Ian Muhammad, was found dead in Blantyre last week with some body parts missing. Kainja said as Malawi Police Service, they are taking another approach to deal with cases of attacks on people with albinism. Among others, Kainja says they have invited the Inspector General of Police from Tanzania, and that one of the issues on agenda is to discuss strategies on how to deal with issues concerning people with albinism.
as a Malawi Police Service, we are also worried. We had thought that we had dealt with this issue, but looking at the way how this incident has happened, we are also concerned. And therefore, going forward, we will be redoubling, and I should say we have already started redoubling our efforts to make sure that we are dealing with this issue with the aggressiveness it deserves.
On GBV, Kainja says Malawians have started opening up to report various forms of abuses to police. Meanwhile, Nkarabe District Director of Administration, Chris Niponi, said through awareness campaigns, people are able to come out in the open and report cases of GBV.
People are encouraged to come out in the open to review, report the gender-based violences that they are facing. And the other one is that people are now to access the victim support unit, which has been set at their own fingertips. They don't have to travel long distances as they used to be in the past.
Several organizations, including United Nations, have condemned the killing of the 20-year-old boy in Blantyre, calling on the police to act with speed.
Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo Banda says he is impressed with progress in the construction of 350 police houses at police headquarters in Area 30, Lilongwe. Construction of the houses falls under the 20 billion Kwacha government project to construct 10,000 houses for the Malawi Defense Force, Malawi Police Service, Immigration Department, and Malawi Prison Services in 5 years. We have a report by Wezi Gausi.
After touring the houses on Monday, Banda says the construction of these houses is a relief to the government. He says 70% of police officers live outside their duty stations due to lack of houses.
Our men in uniform, they deserve the dignity of staying in a very good house, because the job that they do, it's a job that is commendable to the country. They give a very, very big sacrifice, and they deserve the best.
Deputy Inspector General of Police Mary Nyolam says the construction of the houses will take 5 years to finish.
We are so expectant. We wish that this project could finish as quickly as possible so that police officers should be accommodated right here in the camp.
At least 400 people have been employed through the project.
Catholic Relief Services has urged people in Nsanje to replicate safer and resilient shelters it has been constructing so that they are safe from floods. The organization made the remarks when it took its partners to the Nsanje district to appreciate the project aimed at assisting vulnerable people. Thomas Kacheri has compiled this report.
CRS Shelter Technical Advisor Madal Sujeri says they wanted to give chance to other organizations to learn from their project, which if extended could protect many families from being made homeless during floods. He says if more families replicate the houses, will be safe during floods. Jerry says the safer house construction guidelines were designed by the government, only that they are using locally available resources.
On the issue of environment, climate change, that's the first priority in the design, because we know, as we say, we are responding to the floods. The floods are the impact of the environmental degradation. So the project itself, it conserves the environment, whereby we don't cut the trees. We also focus on the use of materials which are eco-friendly. The use of the adobe, we focus much on the techniques using the very same materials, unlike focusing on the strength of the materials with a poor structure. We have seen houses built with very strong materials, but they do collapse. I think the best to follow is on the best construction practices. If we follow on that, we'll end up building something which is very great.
According to Jerry, the houses have been constructed in Nsanje, Palombe, Zomba, Chikwawa and Karonga districts after noting that many houses were being destroyed during floods, with a few families being assisted with decent homes. Enigejina Gandula of Ngabu, who cannot remember her age, thanked CRS for coming to her rescue after being made homeless for many seasons. Since 2015, CRS has been responding to people during disaster caused by effects of climate change and has been working together with CADICOM, CAD, DODMA, TIVETA, among others.
You're watching the evening bulletin here on Times Television. We'll be back with more soon after this break.
munthu mmodzi payekha sangamange mudzi, koma anthu angapo kubwera pamodzi timati uwu nde mudzi. Pamodzi tili ndi kuthekera kobweretsa chitukuko mdera lathu. Network yathu ya Chimalawi ya TNM yakhala ikuthandiza madera ambiri mu njira zosiyanasiyana. Komano pano TNM ikufuna kupitiriza ntchitoyi mogwirizana ndi ife eni ake amudzi. Ndinkani yabweretsa TNM mudzi wathu. Mukagwiritsa ntchito TNM poimba foni, kutumiza ma SMS, kugwiritsa ntchito internet, kapena kugwiritsa ntchito mpamba, chaka chilichonse TNM idzipereka 1% kapena 1 kwacha pa 100 kwacha iliyonse ya ndalama zomwe yapanga kuti ithandizire pa chitukuko chomwe anthu akufuna mdera lawo. Tikabwera pamodzi ndi kugwirizana chimodzi, tikhoza kupanga zazikulu mmudzi wathu. TNM mudzi wathu, umodzi unamanga mtolo. Ndondomeko zidzatsatidwa.
I choose to be smart. I choose to live a simple and easy life. I choose not to line up to pay my bills. This is why I go digital. Jump the queue. Pay your Lilongwe Water Board bills through mobile banking. Or you can pay through mobile money, as I always do. You can also check your water bill and balance by simply dialing *253#. With digital payment, you can save time and money. Be smart. Pay your bills on time.
Lilongwe Water Board.
Lilongwe Water Board. Portable water all the time for all.
Welcome back to the news. Continuing with the bulletin, EduFund, a legal organization registered to promote education, has partnered with Blantyre Cycling Club in organizing a fundraiser on 4th September to raise 35 million kwacha. The funds aim to sponsor about 75 less privileged students who reserved places at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences, MUBAS, during the 2020-2021 academic year on financial grounds. More in this report by Llewellyn Mpasa, read by Elvis Hoa.
Speaking at a press briefing in Blantyre, MUBAS Student Union Vice President Sarah Chirwa says they are appealing to the corporate world and well-wishers for help. Chirwa said 75 students are at home as of now and over 50 more are on the verge of withdrawing on financial grounds.
It is of so much importance because we're expecting 75 students to be back on campus again and proceed with training. Apart from those who were withdrawn, but we're talking also of some, those who have problems in terms of food and accommodation. On accommodation, we're talking of those needy students who are residing outside campus. The accommodation, the rentals are so high to the extent that they are failing to pay the rentals. So some of them, they choose to quit or withdraw from studies.
EduFund Director Isaac Ngwata said they expect different corporations and industries to help the prospective employees to get back to school.
This initiative, we have partnered with Blantyre Cycling Club, looking at the students at the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences that have reserved places. So we want to bail them out so that they should get back to school, and we are appealing to the corporate world for that. This is just one of the first events that we are planning. It's a series of such activities. Next year we'll do it for another college, and then it will be going on, and we are starting with MUBAS. Our vision is to have a nation with educated youths, so we'll try as much as we can so that every youth should go to school despite their financial challenges.
The fundraising client event will take place on the 4th of September and will start from MUBAS, formerly Polytechnic in Blantyre, to University of Malawi, formerly Chancellor College in Zomba.
Blantyre Synod of the Church of Central African Presbyterian, CCAP, will on Tuesday hold a 2-day biannual assembly where delegates will also elect new synod moderator, deputy synod moderator, and deputy general secretary. The elections follow the expiry of the term of office for incumbent Synod Moderator Masauko Mbole, Deputy Moderator Miriam Chipeta Banda, and Deputy General Secretary Moenda Kanjerwa. Isaac Salima with the details.
Baraka CCP Church Reverend Edina Navaya is expected to battle it out with Lighton Kilowe of Kachere CCP for the position of moderator. 5 candidates, Ernest Mpate, Humphrey Ziambo, Immaculate Chikwatu, Jafari Acid, and Anika Binda will compete for a position of deputy moderator. Baxon Maulidi, Jimmy Banda, and Anderson Juma will face off for a position of deputy general secretary. The Synod General Secretary Bide Gama said all was set for the 2-day conference, which will take place at Multipurpose Hall at its headquarters in Blantyre, and about 477 delegates will take part.
At the incoming conference, the preparations are very much in order. You may wish to know that we are starting Tuesday, 24th, and we shall start with the prayers. Then after that, we should have the next major item of this 33rd in the annual assembly is elections, and we are hoping to start the process of elections by 12:30.
Mbole, who has served the Synod for 4 years, described his tenure as fair.
I can generally say that it has been fair, looking at the fact that we didn't have challenges that would finally cripple us as the church. And as a church, we have not had times when we could find ourselves not being able to move on as a church into the direction we wanted. First of all, I wish all the people that are contesting those blessings, and I know all of them are capable of taking up the position that I was holding.
The Blantyre Synod has 18 presbyteries and 640 congregations.
All the best to the new office bearers well in advance. Well, that's where we also end this edition of the news bulletin. But before we go, a recap of the headlines once again. Court rules that former MEG Commissioner Linda Kunje has a case to answer on criminal recklessness and negligence. Court grants the state an order of inquest into the death of former Police Criminal Investigations Director Bob Mtekama, and Director of Public Prosecutions accused of delays in prosecuting cases connected to the killing of those suspected of practicing witchcraft in the country. Remember, you can get more on these and other stories by visiting our website www.times.mw, liking our Facebook page Times 360 Malawi, and following us on Twitter at Times 360 Malawi. Remember to wash your hands regularly, observe social and physical distance, and mask up. Please do stay safe. You have been with me, Jawes Banda. Goodbye.